Dig dang gummed, summon them elector counts, boys. We got 3 tips to be better with the Empire. Now, I will fight all of the campaign people about the Hellstorm rocket battery. Some of them say it's good. I think it's trash. And I've played a lot of Empire campaigns. I think there are some angles where you can get very abusive on the AI, and then maybe it's not trash, but that relies on the AI being stupid, which, like, I think the most frustrating part for me is the AI is sometimes stupid and the AI is sometimes smart. So if I try and line up a side shot with these guys, they'll just run over and kill it, and that makes me sad. Anyway, this is mostly a multiplayer focused talking point because it's about price, which not as big of a deal in campaign. 2 Hellstorm rocket batteries regular costs almost as much as the Sunmaker. The Sunmaker is a little cheaper at 1,800 gold. These guys are, I believe, 1,050 or something like that. It's a little cheaper, but the first mistake you're doing when you're playing Empire Online is ever taking a Hellstorm rocket battery regular at all. I'm going to compare 2 Hellstorm rocket batteries to the Sunmaker as they each fire at these Marauders. The Sunmaker fires its volleys quicker and does more damage with its volleys than its cousins. It has less ammunition, and some people might think that's a bad thing, but like, it gets all of its damage out nice and quickly before your opponent can show up and shut it down. And being something that is very expensive and singular, it is going to be their target. So getting your damage out quickly and not having a ton of extra ammunition is a plus, not a negative. You know, these other Hellstorms, they're just not going to be online long enough, and they're not going to do enough damage to really be worth taking. So in the same amount of time, we have 373 value with 80 some kills, and then we have 170 value and 75 value. And the Sunmaker has almost gotten rid of a Marauder, while this other one has gotten 1 Marauder to half. Actually, yeah. The incidental Marauder has taken almost as much damage as the actual target of the other 2 Hellstorm rocket batteries. And the reason is their accuracy is just too poor. The Sunmaker has similar accuracy problems, but it just fires so many rockets that enough hit to do significant damage, while the basic Hellstorms don't launch enough rockets to do that much damage. So you already have 1 Marauder routing. Second Marauder is thinking about routing. As on the other side, they've almost gotten rid of their first. And that should probably do it. No, he's going to stand strong. All right, that'll do it. Big old volley. And there we go. So it routed 2 Marauders in the time the double Hellstorms almost routed 1. 130, 230 value versus 660. So for less than double of these 2 put together, it does over double their damage. It's the reason in multiplayer you see the Sunmaker so often, whether in domination or in land battles, rather than basic Hellstorms. And whenever I see people take basic Hellstorms, they're just doomed to fail. Like, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I don't know if I've ever seen a basic Hellstorm rocket battery build win. They're that terrible. So just take the Sunmaker. It's the only one worth taking at all. Another mistake I see from newer players usually playing the Empire, but this one's actually easier to compare to higher tier players. Like, you'll see a lot of high tier players do this move, so I want to explain to you why it happens. War wagons are missile chariots, but a lot of people forget the chariot aspect. Now, obviously, if there are armor-piercing ranged units or artillery or archers or something shooting you, don't do this. But when the enemy is advancing with their melee units, and you want to shoot at their Cold One Knights, for example, but like you could also do Khorne's Minotaurs, right? Sometimes Khorne, if he's advancing with these are his Marauders, his Minotaurs will stay way back here, so you can't get free shots on them on the advance. They want to wait for the melee as long as possible. Well, you can sit here and shoot at the front line. That does okay damage, I suppose, but you're wasting some of your precious ammunition. A lot of good players will start to use these guys as chariots. And you can either, your opponent has to force the Minotaurs, the Cold One Knights, the Cold One Spear Riders, the Grail Knights, whatever. They've got to bring that armor-piercing cav over to stop you. The AI is not going to do that, so you're going to have to use your imagination. But your War Wagons can get some free damage on Bleak Swords, and then just path out. They are still chariots after all, and they'll get some shots on their way out. You can kind of force those big targets you actually wanted to shoot to come over here and try and peel you off, but then you just run away as you were going to and then shoot them. You kind of force your opponent into a lose-lose scenario where you get some free damage out. Now, I don't know why that charge was so bad. It normally does a lot more damage, so I think we're going to try again here in a second. Now with the downhill charge, that'll be a little better. There we go. Yeah, chariots are a little weird. Sometimes their charges do a lot of damage, sometimes they don't. But the main point was your war wagons take very little damage for doing this, and you can disrupt your opponent's formation, disrupt their charge, because it's not even all about damage. Like, you force these guys out of position. Now, do these 4 Marauders, Bleak Swords, Skink Cohorts, whatever, keep advancing without them? And their front line is staggered now? Or do they all stop and wait for this to get resolved? It just causes chaos. It forces the opponent player to micro harder and, you know, stresses them out. So, war wagons, don't forget they are still chariots. Even if they don't do that much damage, disruption alone and just being a nuisance is huge. And then when the target you actually wanted to hit comes over, remember to run away and shoot at it. This last replay is to get the most out of your Outriders grenade launchers. A unit of much discussion in especially domination, but really anywhere. Outriders do insane damage to infantry, but I do see a mistake with them quite often. See, you know, first volley takes out half, maybe a little over half HP on both these Bleak Swords. That's great. That's fantastic. Now, the mistake I see is players not really microing enough, and that is Outriders do infinitely more damage the more health and models you have alive. So we'll see a second volley on the same target versus a brand new volley on the next target. Second volley still did really good work, but less. There's now maybe a quarter of the HP left, and this one took off almost another half of a Bleak Sword. Some Outriders I should micro them so that they turn. I don't think all of them are going to fire here. But still, we get a solid volley out. And this Outrider, the next volley, did very little. And now he's shattered them, but I'm just trying to prove a point. So he's moving on to his second Bleak Sword volley. Well, this one is on to its 4th Bleak Sword volley, and it got kind of a half one off, so I let it get one more. There's a beautiful shot, and this one just did half. So if you take a look at those two, I'm guessing the one with more kills will actually have significantly less damage value because it took all that time to finish off that Bleak Sword unit, this one that's dead, while the other one just softened up 4 different Bleak Swords. You see for damage value, 600, pretty good, 924. So Outriders grenade launchers are actually way better at softening up enemy front lines or enemy advances and making it easier for the Empire State troops to either hold or outright win, maybe for using great swords or archers to pick off some of the actual, you know, models. The Outriders grenade launchers should almost exclusively be shot at things with full hit points at the start of the game, and then you can start re-shooting at things you've already shot at before when you start running out of targets, or if they get into big blobs, or if they're particularly expensive. But yeah, you really do want to focus on fire once, next unit, fire once, next unit, fire once, next unit, and that just gets you, like we see, 50% more damage out of this unit, which is quite nice.
Subscribe, yes.